welcome Elizabeth Terenik, Senior Project Manager of the Atlantic City Development Corporation. She's also President of Chelsea EDC. Wow, that's a lot of responsibility. Okay, tell us, what is your number one goal? What are you trying to do?
Well, Chelsea Economic Development Corporation is focused on really quality of life issues. And when we want to attract businesses, we want to attract entrepreneurs, we want to attract skilled workers, in addition to bringing up the people that live here and the workers that are here, we need to make it a place where people want to live. And so we have things like special events, we have markets in the park, we do a lot of fun stuff, because if we do things for the kids, then the families come out, and then we also do Ring doorbell cameras we give away. We do cleanups in the neighborhood. And those are all important on their own. Yeah. But more importantly, they get to know us so that when and as we are doing career counseling and other things to help people get into Ideal Institute or other opportunities, they trust us. Because when you talk about despair, it really does. It's there for the residents, and we all want to attract new people into the community, but there's a lot of talent within our community. So I would say one of our most important goals for Chelsea EDC is to bring up the people that are here and identify the talents that are here.
So one of the things that you talked about when we were chatting about doing this Q&A, you talked about career pathways. So it's not just jobs, right? It's the right career pathway. So that's a much broader concept.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think a lot of people come here and they come from other countries and then they work in the casinos. And in most cases, that is a job. And there are career pathways that are forming through aviation and other avenues. And people really aren't aware of that. And one of the things we're mining, I talk about mining things in the community because we feel that things exist here and we don't know that they exist. And so we're mining folks that have gotten their degrees in their own country, in foreign countries, and trying to get them into the pipeline to get the better paying jobs that are here. So that's just one area. So if you have someone that's living in the community, they have a degree in technology or accounting or economics from their country, India, Bangladesh, and there are a lot of people that do have those jobs, but they're working in food service or as an Uber driver, and their salary or their income may be about $30,000 a year. They have the potential to be making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year without much effort. So that's one area where, again, we're bringing up the people that are here. And when we see those folks rise up in their income and their degrees, we don't want them to move away. So a lot of times we talk about, well, it's so important to get people into careers and onto the career pathways. And we spend a lot of time on the quality of life issues, And it's just really important because we want to keep them here. And so that's been our main focus at Chelsea Economic Development Corporation. And we've been working with the other CDCs in the city to work collaboratively, and just recently put a grant application in. So it's been very exciting, the work that's starting to happen here.
What's your next big project you're working on?
Well, we are now going to start venturing into the neighborhoods and the community centers. So we have, for example, the Vietnamese community. We have the Spanish community. In our neighborhood in Chelsea, it's 44% Hispanic, 32% Asian, 4% Black, 15% white. And so we have a big diversity here. And so we want to go through the community centers because there's a level of trust there that we won't get if we just kind of, post it on social media, so to speak, and talk about the opportunities that exist. So I'm working with, for example, in the aviation world to create a really easy to understand website on the the job training opportunities. For example, ACDEVCO has drone certification. How do people get into those classes? What are the jobs that exist in that industry? And how do they get into that career pathways?
Right. So how did you get involved in this kind of city planning? Because before you were doing this, you were also city planning for Atlantic City as a whole.
Yes. So I've been a planner for about 30 years. I came to the area in 1992 and worked in government all the way until just about 4 years ago when I started working for ACDEVCO. And we decided to start a new organization, Chelsea Economic Development Corp, because we knew we had to really work on the area around here. I worked at the city at the time that this was starting to be built. And we said, we don't have to worry about the Chelsea neighborhood. It's going to be just fine because Stockton's coming in. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight, right? So we still have a lot of issues. The small businesses were not seeing any students coming into their stores or their restaurants. We didn't have that kind of overflow. And part of the reason is the students feel more comfortable staying on the campus, right? So how do we get them out of the dorm? How do we get the South Jersey Gas employees to come out of their building and go into the restaurants? Well, we got some work to do there. We really do. So we're spending a lot of time on clean and safe issues. So I feel like I'm doing government work still, and I loved my days working for the planning department here in the city, but I get to do it in a nonprofit setting, which means we could get so much more done. And we have to realize that government has a lot of restrictions that make it very hard to get things done, and we all get frustrated sometimes with the city, and there's a lot of steps in place. And being in a nonprofit, I feel like I can do public service work, but not necessarily have to work within all those restrictions.
Sure. And one of the issues that you mentioned is the problem of blight here in Atlantic City, which seems to be progress being made in that area. But what's the solution? Is this you don't just tear down everything? What's the solution?
Well, and the problem is that the cost to acquire and renovate or acquire and build is more than what you can sell it for, right? It's just doesn't pencil out. The projects don't pencil out. So it's going to take public subsidy money at this time to start to change that. And then we hope that as we do some projects with public funding, and we receive, Chelsea receives through ACDEVCO and the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program, a full $1 million a year. So we have funding to do these things. So if we can start some projects and renovate some projects using public money, we hope then the free market will then take care of itself.
Public market first and then private money.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would prefer the private money just come in.
Sure, the private money first. But,
we get some venture
the private money follows growth. Wherever there's growth, private money is there. Boom. They want to build and scale up and exit. So anyhow, that's very interesting. One other point I wanted to bring up is you, for some reason, talked about indoor farming as a potential area for Atlantic City. Yeah. Can you explain that?
Yes. Well, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity. It solves a lot of problems for us. So one of our biggest problems is the access to fresh food in the city. And there are stores in the city, but they don't necessarily reach, everyone. I shop at Boom across the street. They do a great job. But we need more fresh produce. But what can we build that can actually have an end market that will pay for the product? Well, greens can be produced.
Well, it's definitely a growing area in the Heartland. There's a lot of new venture money going into these vertical farms. Is there anything happening like that in Atlantic City yet?
Well, Crops has started with a project, and I think, Ren, you mentioned that you'll be working on something with that. So I think it has potential, and we can do it in the vacant warehouses that exist.
Oh, okay,
so
sure.
It's still a budding idea, but I like it because it could actually feed people, has an end market, and it takes care of the blight in the buildings. And I really appreciate the story in your book about fifth season, and how that got started.
The vertical farming company in the worst area of Pittsburgh. Yeah, Braddock, next to a steel mill.
Yeah, so I'm hoping.
So look, there's definitely hope here. So, all right. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. A lot of great ideas there, and great energy. Thank you.